Hey everybody, welcome to the Sharp Tongue Podcast. I'm your girl, Jessimae Peluso. Beep, 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 beep. How the fuck are ya? This week we are attempting to get back on schedule for our Tuesday release, but it is Wednesday. We're getting close. We're getting caught up after COVID made us cough up everything inside our being. This week is going to be an old school episode of the Sharp Tongue Podcast with just me being me, answering some fan messages and responding to some fan messages and discussing life, you know, how this podcast started, just me and a microphone and my candid thoughts, which may or may not be controversial. I feel like the word controversial is more controversial than Universal Studios with Sean Connery. I have done edibles today. It's later in the day, which is when my brain starts to fail. But luckily, this podcast has not failed, and that's because of you guys. Thank you so much for being amazing fans, and check out the Patreon if you want to watch the episode. That's available on YouTube. You guys know the channels, patreon.com/Jessimae Peluso and youtube.com/Jessimae Peluso. I appreciate you so much. You guys rock. You make this podcast everything. And without further ado, I hope you enjoy this new episode in our OG way with just me, your girl, Jessimae. Did that just rhyme? I swear I'm a fucking rapper. Sharp Tongue Podcast. Beep, 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 beep. You're listening to the Sharp Tongue Podcast. I'm your host, Jessimae Peluso. It's a personal look. Well, it's not really a look because it's a podcast. I'm already fucking this up. This is kind of like a verbal comedy diary, a deep look into the crevices of my mind. It's gonna get dirty. You might cry. You probably laugh. Hopefully you'll laugh. The whole point is for you to laugh, but you also might cry. I talk about my family. I talk about farts. I talk about love, loss, comedy, how hard it is to make it in this biz. I'm a fucking professional. Each week it's something different. Sometimes I have a guest host. Sometimes it's going to be a movie companion episode. Sometimes I just ramble about the bullshit I dealt with the week before. You never know what you're going to get. It's raw, uncut, and funny. It's me. Hey everybody. I'm here. Another day, another dollar. You know, I was thinking how much I love marijuana. I really truly do. I thought, in honor of some big news about Dennis Rodman presumably going to Russia to help exonerate Brittany Griner from a Russian prison, I thought I would smoke a little Farmer and the Felon, which is a cannabis company that supports the Last Prisoner Project, which is a foundation that helps exonerate people that are still in jail from non-cannabis crime. Keep it all in the family. How's your day? How's your evening? They make these so freaking hard to get into. It's like opening a CD. You guys, some of you listening probably are like, what? Because I'm at that age where I remember things that some people weren't even alive for, which is a whole other fucking episode of complete fear and the realization that I'm plummeting towards an inevitable death. We all have a little bit of fear of dying, right? I feel like the people who are like, I'm not afraid of death, are afraid the most. Are the most afraid. Oh, bring it on, really? Okay, Lance. We'll see how you are in the face of the Grim Reaper, brother. So we've got a little lemon sponge cake. Very cute container. There's 3 in here. This is fun. Didn't realize that there was going to be 3 in here. Oh, this just brightened my day. This is an indica dominant hybrid. This is lemon sponge cake. We'll see how this baby tastes. I'm going to light it up with my Sex and the City lighter. This I found at a famous actor's house. Oh, and I stole it because I wanted a memento from the moment. Great movie, by the way. Guy Ritchie's Memento, if you want to have a panic attack. Mm-hmm. Rolled a little tight. Sometimes it's hard to pull. Better than there being less weed. You know, you can always empty it out, put it in a bowl. Let's see. I'll get her going. Hold on. There she blows. This video probably will be removed from having ads on YouTube because no one's fun. Because they'd rather promote sugary drinks addictive, sugar products and alcohol. But no cannabis. Can't have that. That's where the real danger starts. Speaking of danger, I was traveling a few weeks back, and in LA, the airport here is a fucking nightmare. LAX is an absolute nightmare. It is. I've traveled to many different countries and have experienced different cultures' ideas of airports. And I have to say that ours is the most heinous. Ours is the most ridiculous idea of an airport. And to top it off, it's a huge international airport, but it's also under construction. So it's 10 times, not even 10 times, it's an immeasurable amount of fuckery that goes on there daily now. So if you're flying in and out of it, it's not an easy travel day. It's a fucking nightmare. So I was standing outside in the passenger loading area, just observing people waiting for my car to pick me up. And I noticed the security, they're ramping it up because people are having a hard time understanding where the fuck to go with all the construction. So the security people are like really being very authoritative, I guess is the word. Really grabbing that authority by the balls and just swinging it around at the LAX, Los Angeles airport. There was this woman, a security woman in a van with a God mic. She had a speaker that she was screaming into to move people to get their cars to move. Because you're not supposed to stand, you can't have your car idling at the airport. So you basically have to do this tuck and roll into your pickup car. You can't come to a complete stop. You got to be constantly jogging to get into the fucking vehicle. Excuse me. It's truly a nightmare. Probably too soon. I'm so red from coughing. After me having COVID, should I be smoking cannabis right now? I did have long COVID. And even, I had it for 30 days. Not testing positive, but just feeling symptoms. And I had the longest cough. And I wasn't contagious at this point. And I was coughing on the plane. And I really felt like I might be murdered. I was like, if I keep coughing on this plane, these people might kill me. And I can't say I blame them. I can't say that I will blame them for killing the coffin bitch in first class. Hey, first class problems, COVID. But the LAX airport is absolutely a tragedy. There was also a guy handing out tickets. Really, bud? That's what we're doing? Aren't there better jobs? Isn't there something else these people could do? Like, I don't know, clean up all the trash? Oh, God, humans suck. I mean, we're great, but we also suck. There's a high level of suckery. I every time I drive on the highway and I see trash everywhere, I'm like, we fucking suck. No, we can't. This is why we can't have nice things. And we want to blame the systems that are in place, and we want to blame government, blah, 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 blah. It starts with us, folks. Pick up your trash. Don't be a slob. Have some respect. Have some pride in existing. That's a problem. People don't have enough pride in existing. They take their existence for granted, and it's what really, I think, causes a lot of problems. You know, we assume that what we have is what we deserve, and we take it for granted. We really do. We take our pride for existence for granted. And it's really, I think it is a core issue. I do. I think it's a problem. I think it's evident in the way certain cities look. Because you go in these small towns where people know each other, and there's fucking farmers markets, and the farm is just a couple miles down, and the city's clean. And the people take pride in it, and they enjoy helping each other, and they enjoy having a real community. That's the one difficulty of living in a city as big as LA, that is as vast as it is and spread out as it is. it's hard to create a community because all of it is so compartmentalized and segregated. It's all these smaller little areas and people, it's almost like these smaller tribes that don't really want to commingle or coexist. It's really interesting. LA is not a place for a person who enjoys a community. And there are communities within this city. I mean, this city's got millions and millions of people. Obviously, there's larger communities within this city, but it still feels very segregated. And it's just not a place for someone who wants to, have a Hallmark moment in the fall with her lover from high school at the pumpkin patch. And the homeless people here have the biggest community. That's my theory. I think the homeless people have more community than the regular residents of LA. Not that homeless people aren't regular, but they're obviously on the fringe, a lot of them. And boy, are they unified. Homeless people have community and meth head confidence, and that is scary. They're like organized crackheads. And the crime is getting so bad. The crime is getting so much worse. And, I live in a area where there's tends to be some crime. Coming from New York, I kind of thrive and enjoy a little bit more of a grittier experience. It's just how I have grown up. It's what I'm used to. It's, it adds a little bit of excitement, but now I'm realizing that is wearing. Its gloss has been wearing off for some time now. And what was once an interesting way to exist has now become very laborious. It makes doing everything that you would normally do more arduous because you have to constantly consider the security factor. Do I have my fox spray, which is mace? Do I have a sharp object? Do I have good running shoes? These are things women have to think about in this fucking city. Can I stab somebody and run away? And the crime is so bad. Like where I live, 5 of my neighbors, my immediate neighbors, because I live in a small community here. I have all these houses that are in one little area connected, and we have a community. Like I know my neighbors, and we actually spend time together, and it's awesome. And the amount of my neighbors that have had their cars broken into, it's like almost everybody, and you go into other areas, other neighborhoods in LA that are more Republican, I guess, is really the truth. It really comes down to the politics as far as like how certain systems within the local area are dealt with, the issues like homelessness and poverty and crime and education. All of that is, politically driven. And so Venice is a very liberal neighborhood. But if you go to these more conservative neighborhoods, they don't fuck around with homeless people. They're like, nope, no thank you. Take that homeless shit someplace else. I'm not saying it's right, but I am saying I think it makes existing a little easier. I'm not mad at the homeless people. I don't want to treat homeless people like shit. I think our local governments really need to come together and figure out a realistic solution to this fucking problem. And you guys know I don't get political on this show. It's not the style of this show, but it's an alarming thing to live in and to see on a day-to-day basis. It truly is. And, in LA, I've said it before, it's hard to tell who's homeless or who's a billionaire. So I just want to clean all that up so I'm not confused anymore. That's really what my main gripe is with this whole problem. And to top it off, one of my neighbors has a crush on me. Yep. One of my neighbors has a crush on me. And, I'm going to go into a year of abstinence. I did it a few years back. and I'm going to do it again just to sort of rejuvenate the vajaj. And I'm gonna hold tight to that as tight as I can, for lack of better terms. I'm gonna hold tight to my purity and my chastity. I'm gonna hang on to it. And my neighbor's, he's barking up the tree. Kind of cute. We'll see. But I haven't told him I'm going to be abstinent, so I'll drop that bomb and see how far away he runs. See if he runs and joins the homeless community so he can feel real love. Yeah, I have a gripe. I have a gripe with something that is so weird. Sleeper couches. You know, couches that pull out to beds. I think they're called sleeper couches. Sometimes the thing pops out from the inside, or you can readjust the pillows to form a bed. Why are they always so uncomfortable? Going from a homeless person to talking about having a piece of furniture that opens up into another bed. Why haven't they figured out that technology? Why is there better technology for my toothbrush than there is for my couch? That's what I don't understand. I want somebody to really tell me what's going on. Tell me what they think, because I have been on the hunt for a comfortable couch that someone can sleep on, that pulls out into a bed. And that mattress, it feels like pita, but not fresh pita that's been left over in the fridge overnight. That's what that mattress feels like. Day-old, cold pita bread. And I really think we can do better. I want to put that out there and see if somebody can come back with a response and tell me what we need to do. What do we need to do? Maybe, here's the thing, and now I'm thinking about the homeless people, a lot of them are talented individuals. We got to create like a school for the homeless so that we can get them trained in finding what they really want to do, and maybe one of them can create a couch that's more comfortable to fucking sleep on. Is that a possibility? Is that something that we can maybe come together on? Come together right now. See, if you sing sometimes, you're going to get your episode shut off. So we can't, not that my voice would really set off the technology that recognizes music. Can you imagine this terrible voice of mine? I do wish I could sing, though. It's one of those things. I really wish I could sing. And sometimes I think I have a good voice, and then you go do karaoke and you're like, wow, I was gravely mistaken. There is a dead cat in my throat. That is a cat that's dying and fornicating simultaneously is in my throat. That's how I would describe my voice. There's so much going on today in the news. I did read an article that Dennis Rodman plans to go to Russia to try to help get Brittany Griner out of prison. Which, to me, it's like Dennis Rodman pops up every so often. He's like the groundhog for world news, international world news. Remember, he's like friends with Kim Jong-un, and he went over there to like hang out with him once, and now he's going over to Russia. I appreciate the gesture. I really do. But what about all the people in our country? And people have talked about this. Farmer and the Felon. Last Prisoner Project. What about all the fucking prisoners we have on our home turf? If these two come back and don't create a nonviolent cannabis coalition to help exonerate those in jail for that, it's really a wasted trip, in my opinion. Not saying she doesn't deserve to get out. I think she deserves to get out and she should be home, but do something with that. Do something with that opportunity. You've got all this press. You've got this experience. You've spent this short amount of time in jail. Comparatively, some of these people have lost entire lifetimes. They've lost the time spent with family. They haven't been able to grieve family members that they've lost. They haven't been able to see their children grow up. They haven't been able to say goodbye to their parents. And they're years, decades behind bars. I would imagine she's learned a lot just from her short time behind bars. And it would be really great if out of this we could really put in some reform for this epidemic of incarceration that we have and help get some of these people home to their family. While calls continue for the Biden administration to bring WNBA All-Star Brittany Griner home from Russia, former NBA player Dennis Rodman says he's taking matters into his own hands. The 5-time NBA champion vowed over the weekend to travel to Russia this week to seek the Houston native's release. She plays for Russia club UMMC Ekaterinburg during the WNBA offseason, and she was sentenced to 9 years after being found guilty of smuggling illegal drugs into the country. And Rodman says he's planning to travel to Russia to help negotiate Griner's release. The former Chicago Bulls icon has some experience with unofficial international diplomacy. He once called Putin cool after a 2014 trip to Moscow, and that he knows Vladimir Putin too well. This is who we need maybe to run for presidency. If we can survive Trump, maybe we need Rodman. Dennis Rodman, he could be the next president. I'm not saying he should be. I'm just saying he could be. He said, I got permission to go to Russia to help that girl. I'm trying to go this week. I'm trying to go this week just sounds really non-committal. If I were her, I'd be like, listen, can you just book it, please? He made numerous trips to North Korea in the last decade, befriending Kim Jong-un. The connection may have also appeared to help release American prisoner Kenneth Bae from North Korea. And Bae thanked Rodman for being a good catalyst for his release. So maybe there's something to this. All I'm saying is that do something with this. You know? The deal involves the possible exchange of Russia arms dealer Victor Bout for Griner. It just sounds like a fucking movie plot, doesn't it? That's what I said on Twitter. Having Dennis Rodman to go over to Russia to help get Brittany Griner out of prison just seems like a Mike Judge movie plot. It really does. And the ending should be them coming back and saving our own wrongfully incarcerated citizens. Well, you know, good for her. I hope he gets her out of jail and that they start in a new buddy comedy. It's so wild. I had to talk about that because to me, it's like, just as a black man, I would think you would have a connection to these people that are in jail. But as somebody who seems to like to come out of his freaking shell once every 5 years to go overseas and make friends with dictators and such, you would think he would also want to come out of his shell and help his fellow brethren and sisters, but I guess not. Well, we'll see what the fuck happens. I want to go look into some fan messages. This one girl said to not mention her by name, and I will not do that, but she sent me a DM and she said, hi, I love you very much and listen to all of your pods. I have so many podcasts. I have way too many podcasts. She said, I want to ask a question. Do you ever look back and think, what a waste of time? I think about past relationships, experiences, and wonder, what was I thinking? Do you do the same thing? You know, I think reflection is never a waste of time. If the intention is self-evolution, reflection or looking back for the sake of torturing yourself doesn't serve you, and it doesn't serve your path on this earth or in your life. Looking back to learn about the decisions you made and what those outcomes felt like and what you would have done differently next time, that's personal growth. And I recommend that for everybody. The journey into yourself is probably the most important voyage you could take in this life. And so much of our existence is lived outwardly without any sort of awareness about what's really going on within our own being. Excuse me for my throat clearing and slight coughing. I'm still shaking that COVID critter. But I do think looking back is a tool we could use. Do I think it's a waste of time? only if it's being used to torture yourself. I don't think it's a waste of time when we're using it as a looking glass for our own evolution. And I think it's vital to do that. I think it's important. I don't think we do that enough. And I don't think, I've looked back on my past relationships and definitely thought, what the fuck was I doing? But then I ask myself, what was I doing? We say that. Well, what was I thinking? But we never extrapolate on it. Well, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? That's where the answers are. That's where you learn to not do it again. So I do that a lot. Meditation and journaling has helped me access the space so I have the ability to go back and look at the decisions I've made, and really allows me to also think about what I was feeling and why I made the decisions. So many of our decisions that we make are based out of a fear of loss, or a fear of failure, or a fear of not belonging, a fear of not being loved. So many of us function from a place of survival. Well, I should have done this differently. I should have said this. I shoulda, woulda, coulda, all those. The shoulda, woulda, couldas are the kryptonite for your growth. Total roadblocks in your path. And relatively useless without extrapolating. And the shoulda, woulda, couldas you can't really extrapolate on, because it's more like you're beating yourself up than you are taking a journey into yourself. I don't think any relationship is a waste if I'm willing to learn from it. I think every relationship is an opportunity to show up better for yourself, so that when you're in a relationship, you can function from a place of love and acceptance instead of fear and anxiety. And most of my past relationships came at the right time. I'm sure even the toxic ones that you guys have experienced, you could say the same. I know my most toxic relationships taught me my biggest lessons about myself. And one thing that I think rings true is we attract what we think we're worth, especially when it comes to people. Girls are always like, oh, he's such an asshole. Well, why do you think you attracted an asshole? That's what you should be asking yourself. Why did you attract an asshole? Because therein lies the answer. Therein lies all the truth. And I can look back, and when I ask, what was I thinking? I know exactly what the fuck I was thinking. And when I ask, gosh, why did I date? Why him? I know why him. Because I needed a fucking lesson. I needed a lesson. Sometimes there are signs. If you're open to it, there are signs all around us. And you give those signs meaning. And when it comes to your past relationships, I'm sure there were a lot of signs that you just missed because you weren't open to change, specifically for yourself. And most of the time, what I was thinking was from a place of survival for myself. You guys know I'm very open about my past and what I've experienced, and the sexual assault I endured as a young girl, and the constant numerous attempts from men into my being in a very disrespectful, harmful, and toxic way. And I functioned from a place of survival because I was surviving during each one of those experiences. I was literally trying to survive and not even having the space to heal. So many of our decisions we make are from a place of fear and survival. And that's where all my decisions were made. That's why I was thinking what I was thinking from the past. You said you think about past relationships and experience and wondering what I was thinking. We all do that. And if you go down and indulge that question a little bit deeper, you'll really get some answers. We don't sit with ourselves enough. We really don't sit with ourselves enough. There's such a great opportunity if you can create 5 minutes within your day and sit with yourself. No phone, no devices, nothing. Not even a fucking bobby pin. And sit with yourself. Do a little scan of your body. Check in. See where there might be some discomfort, some pain, some stiffness, some reaction. So much of that is numbed by the mundane existence that we have created within society. This hamster wheel that we're all in, we don't even know that we're experiencing some pain. I think if we all can just sit with ourselves and find an opportunity to check in with our body, our mind-body connection, it would really create an impact within the individual, but subsequently within society. So if you have time, check in with yourself. A little time is better than no time. Let's see, we've got, I asked her, I didn't say your name, did not say it. Hope everyone's happy. Did not frickin' say it. She loved the most recent episode. The last bit is pure gold. As far as an active hobby goes, take up surfing. You'd rip. Girl, I am a terrible swimmer. When I tell you I'm a terrible swimmer, that's not offering an opportunity for anyone just to come, and try and attack me in the water. See, that's where my survival brain goes, talking about it. Now I'm like, someone's going to know that I can't swim, and they're going to pick me up and drop me in the fucking ocean. Look, it's so funny you say that, girl who is going to stand unmentioned, because I was talking to one of my best friends who does free diving, and he spearfishes and does that with a spear gun under the ocean, obvious. Well, not under the ocean. That would be the Earth's bed, in the ocean. And that's one of my biggest fears. He goes down on a fucking single breath of air. Like he's some sort of fucking ocean creature and shoots fish in the face. I need a hobby. I need a real fucking hobby. And so it's funny that you say I should take up surfing, because I was discussing wanting a hobby and seeing my friend and his ability to just dive into the ocean made me realize I need something. I really need something. You know what I think you guys need? A little carpe diems.
You've got mail.
I love carpe diems. It's my favorite part of the podcast. I haven't done it in a while. We've done it on the girl podcast that we have, Giving You Real Life with Carly Aquilino. And I miss it, so I saved some for the Sharp Tongue podcast this week. This one comes in from a fella. We're going to keep him unnamed, just in the spirit of keeping it cute. This individual says, I want to tongue fuck your booty hole. I mean, that's one way to get someone's attention. And that's bold. That's bold. I eat a lot of nuts, and I snack all day. So I don't know what you're getting yourself into. I can't guarantee what the territory is going to be like down there. So I wish you the best. This is not an invitation for you to tongue fuck my butthole, but it's a very generous offer, and I'll take you up on it. I'll never take you up on it. I'll think about it. Let's see what we got here. This one comes from another unnamed individual. You're the best. You know that? That's August 6th at 8:52 p.m. Then he comes back October 1st, whole 2 months later at 9:13 a.m. Is this what they call sliding in the DMs? Then this past Saturday, he says, so is this how you run into your DMs? I like the persistence. It's genuine, generally seems genuine. But then again, everyone says it about serial killers. So we're going to have to wait and see on this one. This one hits me up, another person. April 9th, 2019. You're so hot. November 16th, 2022. Can we go on a date? Can you imagine if that really happened in real life? Isn't it interesting how time sort of slips away when it comes to internet connections? Like this guy hits me up April 9th, 2019. And then damn near a year and a half later, can we go on a date? Can you imagine a guy coming up to you and being like, oh my God, you're so hot. And then showing back up 2 years later out of nowhere, can we go on a date? If we don't say no, unless this dude has something special, if we don't say no, we deserve everything coming to us except for death and torture. So maybe we don't deserve anything. Maybe nobody deserves anything. We get what we get when we're in a certain place at a certain time, and we just have to deal with it. Oh God, this one left a voice note. I'm scared. I'm scared. Oh no. Let's see. Okay, I was gonna say his name. I see it. I was gonna say his name out loud, but I don't want to do that. Let's see. Let me pull this message up. Here we go. I'm sure it's something. It's nothing bad. I didn't say his name, right?
Right, Jessimae Peluso. But I'm not Jessimae, because, yeah, okay, right? Listen to me, a lad from Ireland here. I'm thirless in me mother and father's house, 35 years of age. My 7-year-old daughter, yeah, but no matter about that, you know what life's about. Microdose, smoke weed, Let's have a pint one day. Why not, sure? Why not? Branch out. Start new things. Just positivity. Do you understand what I'm saying? Jess, you know.
I'm gonna guess. Well, here's the thing. That message was on February 24th, 11 a.m. He clearly sounds drunk, but he's also clearly Irish. I think they just wake up like that. And then May 18th, he sends me a message that says, marry me, please. He sounded like a fucking leprechaun.
Let's have a pint one day. Why not, sure? Why not? Branch out. Start new things. Just positivity. Do you understand what I'm saying? Jess, you know.
He said, branch out. Oh, that one really made me laugh. I thought that was funny. That was really, really cute. But the marry me is a hard pass. This guy says, fully support the new display picture. This is my display picture. It's a sex doll that I found after Googling sex doll face, because my face looked like that from when I filmed my special at the Netflix Is a Joke Festival. And I found this picture of a sex doll that looked just like me. So now it's my display picture on social media. You're welcome, sir. I almost said your name, but we're going to keep it cool and keep it cute. Truly. Here's another DM. He says, I absolutely love your stories. XXXXXXXX. Okay. That's nice. I don't even know if there's a sexual intention there. He might just be like a regular dude who's dropping a little love on a girl's page, but we all know when you guys do that, what you really want. This guy just says, at 3:46 a.m., hi, babe. Huh? Excuse me, sir? Babe? No. Not your babe. I don't like to be called babe too soon. It kind of feels a little, for some reason, it just feels off to me. It's a little too close. A little too friendly, if you ask me. Let's see. We got a couple emails. We did that one where I didn't mention the girl's name. This is just a message. Let's see what this says. Hi, I listened to your podcast with Joe Rogan from a year or so ago. First off, I want to say I'm sorry for the loss of your parents. I lost my wife, so I know how difficult loss of loved ones can be. I love the sides of your personality you showed on his podcast. I always have thought you're funny and give off tons of positive energy, but it was so nice to see your smart, intellectual, as well as caring and empathetic side. You are definitely right. Social media is unipolar, and if it wasn't for Joe Rogan, I would have never realized you have such a beautiful depth to yourself. I never thought you were shallow. Are you going to perform in New York City anytime soon? Yeah, that is an interesting thing, like people's perception of you based off of the little crumbs that you leave on social media. And people create this whole story based off of their perception of what you're showing them. But it's not even my experience. they're drawing their perception through a filter of their own experience, their own trauma, their own ancestral trauma, and their own background in childhood. All of their perceptions being filtered through all of those realms and experiences in their life. And then they're drawing up a conclusion as to who I am based off of my social media. In other words, nobody knows anybody unless you actually meet them and spend time with them. Nothing you see is real on social media. I look like fucking Forrest Whitaker right now. I just caught a glimpse of myself, and I look like the one side of my face is too close to a candle. I highly recommend lemon sponge cake from Farmer and the Felon. Kudos to you fellas. This is a really, really interesting experience. I just think that it's all fake on social media, and people draw these conclusions about who I am. And when they look deeper into like my stand-up or my interviews, there is a depth to me. I've always had this depth, and I think as a kid, I dumbed myself down and I kept myself somewhat superficial because the majority of people around me didn't have the depth that I had at that age. So then I developed this defense mechanism and this way to communicate. Instead of going deep, I kept it light and was goofy and silly. And I also think life experience changes the depth at which you exist and spend your most time. And, ironically, the more you lose, the deeper you go. And obviously, you guys know I've experienced a lot of loss these past couple years. And it created this depth of life perception. You know, always talk about depth of perception when it comes to objects. But what about our depth of perception when it comes to experiences? That can be askew as well, depending on where you're at in your life and what the experience is in front of you. So, I've gone through a lot that has changed my perspective and has allowed me to access deeper parts of myself. It's almost like when you go through loss, you're reintroduced to yourself and you shed aspects of you that didn't serve you before, and you gain new aspects that will help you grow through this stage that you're entering. And for me, I've tried to look at every loss and find an opportunity for myself, not in a professional way, just in an existential way. I think every loss is an opportunity to learn something new so that the next time you gain. And truly, we're so afraid to let go of things. I think the more we let go of, the more room we make for what's true. It must have something to do with the fact that we're born attached to our mothers. The very act of our birth involves us attached to something. It's almost as if our existence begins with attachment. So I can understand why a lot of people struggle with letting go. I wonder if babies struggle with the umbilical cord being cut on an existential level. We'll never know, because we can't communicate like that until we do ayahuasca. But I truly think that one way to diminish disappointment and suffering is to strengthen your relationship with loss. There's this quote by Henry Ellis that my mother had written down on a piece of paper. And it said, the art of living lies in a mingling of letting go and hanging on. And the art of living, I think, arrives in the place where you are able to decide and differentiate between the two for yourself. What to let go of and what to hold on to. And I can tell you, without a doubt for myself, letting go of my personal possessions has truly freed up space for my own healing. I think we possess items so much because, back to the idea of us being attached at birth, that was a physical attachment and a nutritional attachment, and obviously all of the attachment. But from a basic standpoint, that's a physical attachment. So I think maybe that's one of the reasons why we struggle with being so attached to items and things. But it's a good place to start if you want to practice creating some space in your life, is letting go of small things. Something small in your life. It could be anything. It could be your favorite pen, or something that you've put an emotional connection on. It could be like a keychain, something small. Practice letting go of things like that. Start small and go slow. And before you know it, when it comes to losing people, not that it gets easier, your connection and your relationship with it will expand further because you've created space for that expansion by letting go of objects and material things. I know every day I'm learning my relationship with loss, and I know every day I'm learning to let go a little bit more. It's not easy, but the more I do it and the more I really breathe through those moments where I'm struggling is the time that I create more space for myself. So it's almost like you have to go through these struggles and be present in those moments of loss and allow yourself to feel the emotions. Because only when you feel an emotion are you able to really let go of that experience. Look at people who bottle their emotions up. They have these like huge reactionary, dramatic responses to trivial things because they've bottled this all up. They haven't connected to the emotion of it. And so more often than not, a cornucopia of emotions will translate and manifest into anger. So I say all that to say that I hope you guys can find a little something to let go of this week, today, tomorrow, whatever it is, something that you hold value to. And I say that because I've lost so much. I've lost so many personal items that were both important to me on a professional level and in a personal level. In the beginning of the year, I had my car broken into, and the first designer bag I ever bought for myself, first and only, well, I have two. I'm not bragging. It's just to relate the story. This bag I bought for myself, it was my first expensive bag that got stolen. Everything in it, even though my comedy notes made its way back to me, which is so bizarre. I had stuff for my mom and my dad in there. I had my book. I had my notebook. I had jewelry and just everything I carry with me was in that bag. And then I lost my dad's necklace in Lefkada, Greece, and had to come to terms with that loss. That was a necklace I wore every single day. And it was a necklace that I touched every day, and I felt the weight of it, and I would think of my father. And I lost that in Greece. I lost a hoop earring of my mom's in Syracuse over the summer. Just flew right out of my ear. Gone. I lost my virginity this past year. All these magical things have been lost. And each time I lost something, I realized that I still had the memory of the person it was attached to. And I think that's why we hold on to things, because we think they represent the physical being of the person we lost, the person we love, the moment in time that we felt our best and our bravest and felt like life was great. We put these personal connotations on physical things, I think, to hang on to a moment or a person. And it's not good or bad. It just is. But if we practice letting go of those things, we realize that that person is still with us and is omnipresent. The only way we can really come to that actualization and that realization is if we have created some space. So I hope you guys can do that this week. I hope you guys can create some space. I hope you find a way to let go of something that's holding you down, because you don't even realize how heavy something is, how heavy it is until you let it go. We never know the weight of what we're carrying until we've let it go. So I wish that for you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in. This is just a regular week, old school Sharp Tongue podcast episode. And if you guys have any DMs that you have on your end, you want to submit for me to share on the podcast, you can DM them to me on Instagram, or you can email them to me at jessimaepelusocomedy@gmail.com, and I could feature them on the podcast. And if you guys have any messages or, whatever you want, we do Dr. Peluso episodes, but I read fan questions, well, not fan questions, but fan emails on this version of Sharp Tongue. So you can send those to jessimaepelusocomedy@gmail as well. And if you guys want to call into the podcast, don't forget, we do that as well. 513-916-0930. Give us a call. Let us know how you're doing. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a bitchin' week.